The show is about to start. Buckle up, 'cause here we go!
What you know you can't explain. But you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong. You don't know what it is, but it's there. Like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. Experience the awakening. Brilliant anonymous researchers. Patriots, join us in the Patriot Army. Trust the plan, pain coming. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. RedStateTalkRadio.com, Brighteon.tv, Rumble.com/MG Show. The end won't be for everyone. That choice to know will be yours. Where we go one, we go all. Fight, 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 and fight we will. We fight every day right here on the MG Show.
Knock them down, boys.
Wow. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is, what is it? Mega Monday, Cyber Monday, whatever the heck they call it. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. And the Bears won on Black Friday, taking the #1 seed. We're #1. 9-3, baby. Hi, Shady.
Hey, bud. How you doing over there?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, you're down there in Florida, like pulling for the Bears, are you?
Well, you know, I come from Chicago.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm just saying, like, you know, they're doing way better than anything I could ever claim. So I'm not gonna get in there too hard on you.
All the Packer fans, like early in the year, saying, "Oh, the Packers are gonna kill you guys." Well, we got a game Sunday, so let's see what happens. But we're 9-3, and you guys are 8-2-1. So we're actually #1 seed in the NFL, guys.
You better be careful. You might run into one of those corrupt referees, and the game could go sideways in 3 seconds. So
Cheesehead says, "Go Packers." You know, your ego might be the best of you guys. So I'm telling you, I really like this head coach, guys. I really do.
We got trouble.
All right, we do have trouble, but we love you, Cheesehead. And, you know, the Bears' rivalry with the Packers has always been friendly. It's been fun. You know, I've always, gone to Bears-Packers games when I was younger, and we had fun. We ribbed each other. We had a good time. Duh, Bears. You know, it's all good. It's all good. But this is going to be
Bears.
Going to be a great game, huh?
Yeah.
So with that, nothing happened over the 4 days that we were off, Shady Groove. We have no news, nothing. So we're just going to sit here and twiddle our thumbs.
Yeah, we're going to sit here and we're going to read the paper because we're digging deep, trying to find a story to share with you because the golden age just took a break for the whole 5 days.
It is. We took off, they took off. I mean, it's just how it works, Shady.
It really is. It's like, this is a train that is not going to stop moving, and it's hilarious to watch them. The golden age train is moving like an airplane off a tarmac in Afghanistan.
Yeah. So there's no news. We're just going to talk football. Oh my gosh, my camera just moved, Shady.
Oh no! Now you bumped into your camera. Oh no!
Oh, Yeti's going to be all mad at me now. Jeez.
Mm-hmm. Now you're left, you're right. Left.
There we go. I'm back.
Oh no! Don't just put me up there. Bring him back. Bring him back. I'm not doing this.
No, we don't need him back. We're gonna just chill here like this.
Oh, no,
All right, so
I'd like to say real quick before we
Yeah.
jump in, I'd like to say thank you to everybody. Come on, calm down. Thank you for everybody for your wonderful Thanksgiving wishes. Thank you to everybody for everything that you have done, because what you have done here is done something that no one else has done. You have navigated the minefield of the matrix, of the InfoWars psyop, to arrive at the conclusions that these people are lunatics. And so now we don't have to yell so loud to prove it, because it's obvious how lunatic they are. And as a matter of fact, the news is sort of pivoting a little bit here, because we'd like to be just dug in and stuck permanently on what Donald Trump is doing. But now all of these people that claim to be MAGA for a long time have decided that they think they're somehow have decided they're more important than Donald Trump. And it just happens to have happened at the same time as a bunch of people kind of went rogue and started calling for sedition and recruitment of people within our armed forces. It's an unusual moment.
Yeah. And we have a little thank you. Oh, there it goes. That's cute, Yeti.
What's up during the thank you?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys very much. We had G Brothers. Thank you for the gift subscription as well. Andy, man, 5 subscriptions to the MG Show on Rumble. We're on multiple platforms, guys. We're on rumble.com/MG Show. We're on youtube.com/InTheMatrix. That's 3 X's. And we're on X, In the Matrix, or Shady Groove with 3 O's. Or we're on one of your favorite podcast platforms, Apple, Android, you name it, except Spotify, because Media Matters got us off Spotify. And we do, we are trying to separate ourselves from these people like InfoWars. I am not Alex Jones. I used to listen to him a long time ago, and then Q said that the guy's basically a shill. So I took that with heart. And then it's funny with all the people with their names that have Q in it, or the number 17, which is the 17th letter of the alphabet is Q, are all Jones's end all be all. Q also spoke negatively about Jack Posobiec, Jerome Corsi, and these are the same people that attack the Q movement. These are the same people that don't like President Trump. They act like they do here and there, but they don't. I mean, we've got, Alex Jones on video saying, I would have, voted for Donald Trump. Remember that shit? I mean, InfoWars is dead. I am separating, this show is separating themselves from anybody on Rumble, right? Most of Rumble basically is InfoWars, okay? With talking points, maybe being paid. I don't know. This show is paid by you. We are not funded by dark money, Shady.
We're absolutely not funded by dark money, and we're absolutely separating ourselves. And not only that, but what they're currently doing is the beginnings of what we've been explaining that they were going to do, which is they are setting up an operation to make everybody think that somehow MAGA is turning against each other and MAGA is infighting. All you have to do is have a huge amount of people that have already infiltrated a movement that aren't really part of the movement. They're just pretending to be to go along with it so that they could take their media apparatuses that they have built for years and divert the attention of the people away from the bully pulpit, which is the presidency. So right now, all of the networks associated with General Flynn, if you're not noticing, you can easily see that they are all attacking Jewish people. Okay, they're all attacking. They're saying that every single problem that you have has to do somehow with Jewish people over and over and over again, which is very interesting, because that's exactly what they were doing on the Chan boards from their Discord servers whenever we met them, whenever a certain poster started to post almost or over 8 years ago now. So obviously they have activated these networks, and they can they're trying to generate the optic so that, that they're going to create an insurrection and send 20,000 people down to free Tina Peters. Like that nonsense. Like, this is what they're trying to do, so that the left, like Jim Stewartson, can take this nonsense off the Bannon show and go weaponize it to his audience. And so that maybe one day each of us, left and right, will tear each other's head off for them. That's what they're trying to do. And we have navigated it and threaded that needle here. And what we are is Americans. And we believe that the only reason that Democrats make bad decisions is because most Democrats have bad information. Most Democrats are just normal human beings. Their leaders are nuts, but their people are normal human beings that have been misled. If they have better information, they'd make better decisions. That's
I was gonna say too, like, with all of the different psychological operations that are going on against you and this movement. most people are like, oh, well, Q is right. Q has been right in this administration. There are so many Q proofs. We're talking about the auto pen is dead and all of the auto pen pardons and whatnot should be done. Remember the Q post, it was Obama at the time. Well, the shadow government, I think presidency was, Biden was led by Obama. And that, there's a meme saying, when we're done, it'll be like you're not even here. That is a Q proof, guys. This is what is happening. You're talking about sedition. There are so many different posts about sedition. The Q movement and the people that actually follow Q, not the ones that usurped and infiltrated our movement, but actual Q followers. And there are really just a handful, Shady.
And let's be honest, the people that are actually supportive of what Q was doing are MAGA. Okay. The people that aren't are not. So there's no person that can possibly have read the drops and understood the drops that could ever switch away from MAGA. I want you to understand that. And I'm going to be very, very clear about this. No one who understood the drops that for real, that wasn't an operator, didn't recognize that this was MAGA. Everything about it was MAGA, and everything about the release, the public disclosure, the dissemination project, that's all it was. It wasn't anything other than an information dissemination project so that we would be able to be well read. Like, you want to research. You don't want to ever go investigate anything before you do your research, or you want to do your research at the beginning of your investigation. That was like our research. This is the investigation. You're watching it unfold in front of you, one piece at a time, and it doesn't really need any director or like a symphony orchestra. What do you call the person I can't think of his name? Conductor. You don't need a conductor specifically because we have Donald Trump. He's stepping us through every single thing with Pete Hegseth, Secretary Rubio, Pam Bondi, and Kash Patel. And I think that we're going to have a great show for you today to put that on full display. These people are being painted as incompetent, guys. They are not incompetent. And every time you read that they are, question the person that's asking the question and see if they have some issues with their ability to discern.
And, it was funny. I watched a little bit of Jillian Michaels and Trump, Donald Trump Jr., and he's kind of sick of the crap, too. He called you all out, too, man.
Oh, wow. I don't think I saw that.
Yeah, so Donald Trump Jr. body bagged, the cancel culture when Jillian Michaels demanded that he disavow Nick Fuentes. And, this is what, basically Junior says, I'm not into the cancel culture. Let them speak. Yep. The choice for you to know is yours. Okay. Listen we're not calling for Candace Owens to stop speaking. We're calling her crap BS. But there's no groveling, no neocon purity test, zero apologies. I don't care. The same people screaming denounce are the ones who called Trump Hitler while shipping our jobs to China and our sons to die in endless wars. MAGA is not fragile, okay? MAGA is not going anywhere. America First doesn't need anybody's permission slip like Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, or anybody else to exist. Okay.
Right.
It exists well beyond this echo chamber of X. Most people that watch this show are not on X. And guess what? They don't see the crap that we see. So can I just play this from Don Jr., Shady?
Dude, I think you made just such an amazing, the way you just spoke that makes such an amazing point.
Jeff Rant.
But the culture of if I want to cancel Nick Fuentes, that would mean that I'm intimidated by his message. Do you understand that? I'm not intimidated by his message. As a matter of fact, I want the guy to speak. The more that he speaks, the more people see what an idiot he is. Now that this has been exposed with his Pakistani bots, his Pakistani bot farm that he got from, I'm pretty sure he bought that on sale at InfoWars like 5 years ago or something. They were having like a fire sale. He's like, Pakistani bot groypers. So let's buy those and put them on the internet. So this is a facade. It's hilarious. And we do want them to talk because if we say, oh, cancel Nick, that would mean that somehow we think that his message is even on par with our message.
Yeah. Let's listen to this. Don Jr., check it out.
Now you're starting to see some of the things in the alt-right fringe of the Nick Fuentes and the young Republican group chat that is racist and that is scary and sexist to an alarming degree with someone like Nick Fuentes. And I'm wondering, you're seeing this kind of fracture of the left. I'm seeing people who are more moderate become alarmed, and people on the right are like, yeah, whatever, not a big deal. I'm here to tell you it's a big deal. And I think it's a big deal because all of those people that your dad invited in, Tulsi, Kennedy, myself, inadvertently, right? All of these more, Rogan, all of these more moderate people who flee the crazy on the left are alarmed if the right doesn't disavow the Nick Fuenteses. And it doesn't mean, I'm not saying cancel Tucker Carlson. That is not what I'm saying. I wish Tucker had handled him differently. I have no problem saying that. But I do think it's going to be a problem. And I'm wondering if you see it as a problem for the right in the midterms and in 2028. Because I think if this continues without it being fully condemned aggressively, I think you get Gavin Newsom for president. And I know what that looks like. And it's scary stuff.
Yeah, let's say I'm a little torn on the issue. I think sometimes, having been canceled and having, for even common sense things, I'm not about cancel culture, but I think sometimes, I don't know that you have to platform everyone, but, let them sort of speak. And I think some of those radicals, they sort of give themselves up in many cases in their own things. And I'm good friends with Tucker, and I actually don't think he's really all that radical at all. I do see a lot of stuff that's sort of manufactured crises. I see a lot of sort of the neocon handles trying to create these conflicts to break it up because they want to go back to the old ways, not the America First ways. I do think that sort of social media and the way those things have been manipulated, and some of these, the stuff you're seeing even this week with, this account that's, America First is, driven out of, some country in the middle of nowhere. It's like they're actually trying to sow discord and create a fight that probably really doesn't exist with the vast majority of people. I think,
right there.
Again, I'm
right there, Shady. It doesn't exist with the vast majority of people. I'm going to have them keep going. This is so true.
A free speech absolutist, but that doesn't mean there's not consequences to that speech. And if you hear some people speak and you don't like, it's like, man, I sort of feel like they almost cancel themselves, and not with censorship, but by people being like, okay, that's not even a reasonable position. We're just not going to listen to this person anymore. And so I do think that's important because, again, I've seen what they try to do to so many people. I was one of the early guys calling out a lot of the censorship on Twitter. And they're like, well, how do you know? I was like, well, I know because yesterday I was getting 5,000 retweets a post. Today I'm getting 3. Not 3,000, 3, like single digits, 3. Like that's something happened, something changed. And so, I think we have to have conversations, even conversation we don't want to hear, or even conversations we think may be disgusting, and listen, and then people will make up their own minds, and they'll sort of, the way I look at it, you kind of vote with your wallet. You walk away from that, and you figure it out on your own.
I'm just deeply concerned that if there's a guy who says women want to be raped, and somebody does not say, this is not who we are as a party, this is not conservatism.
He's not MAGA. Pause it just a second.
I'm telling you, it's
but I also think sometimes even acknowledging what you do, if you're going to acknowledge every person that says something ridiculous, all of a sudden you're just making them bigger in a way. Sometimes you just got to let the idiocy just go out there in the ether, and you can't respond to everything, right? Because it just becomes like clickbait, troll-worthy stuff, and everyone starts doing it, and everyone then starts taking their own bait, and and that's sort of what I was alluding to earlier with like some of the stuff going on right now. It's like everyone's just trying to like out radicalize themselves for clicks and this, and it's a bit nuts. And I don't think we do that as well at the left. The left sort of has their talking points, and they generally speaking stick to them, even if I disagree with them vehemently. We're a little different in that we are a lot more open. We do have a lot more different viewpoints. We don't just say, okay, well, the party says this, so we're going to go with this. We still have that discourse, and we have those disagreements, and we move on. And I do think a lot of that fracture that you're talking about is also, I think a lot of it's just being created to actually try to break up that movement. I don't know that it's as real as it is, but it doesn't matter if millions of people are talking about it online because they think it's real or they think it's coming from a good place, and they think that this is an organic thing that's not a pay-to-play campaign. That is a little scary, and I think people have to wake up to some of that.
There you go, Shady. I'm sorry, I was just kind of away. I heard you say pause it, but I was not there. But I'm glad he finished up because he summed it up perfectly, Shady.
Dude. So a number of different things that this is where you have to. It's getting so easy for us to navigate. Every day it's getting easier for us to navigate through what is going on here, and easier for us to distinguish and to talk about. Either any party, any person, any entity that is focused on race. Let's just stop for a second. Stop everything. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. If you are focused on race, if like you're leading with, oh well, those people over there are this color, or you're leading with, oh, these people are fascist and white supremacist, or these people are lesser than because they're black people, or they're lesser than because they're Jewish people. Either side, notice what I'm saying here. Notice how both sides are doing this. Notice how the Democrats, notice their racism, and notice the Republicans, and notice their racism. What is going on? Well, you have Republicans that aren't really Republicans. Nick Fuentes is not a Republican. Nick Fuentes is not MAGA. He is not MAGA. He does not support Donald Trump. He pretty much has not been MAGA the whole time. And yes, he is a white supremacist. He claims that. He's not shy about it. Whatever. You're in America. You can do whatever. You can be whatever you want to be. But what does Jillian Michaels see? She sees Nick Fuentes as MAGA, and she sees Nick Fuentes as some sort of a problem that we have. We do not have a Nick Fuentes problem. You have a problem not being able to distinguish and use your little noodle between your ears to distinguish and understand exactly who it is, because what we want is the golden age. The golden age is merit-based. You could be green. You could be orange. You could be brown. You could be purple. I don't care what color it is. If you can perform your task perfectly with excellence, you should be able to ascend in your particular field, no matter what it is, if you have the desire and the need and the skill and the process to do so. That is what is happening right now, guys. The people that are focusing on race on both sides are trying to drive wedges in between us and to stop us because they're saying we can just notice the color of your skin. This was on its way out when we were young, and they have now brought it back.
You know, Shady, too, we understand that it's not, just the Jews and all that other weird stuff.
Right.
We understand that it is the blood lines, okay? The minute I said Payseur, Payseur, the bloodline, and then Q reposted it, Q post 1970, okay? That is when we were attacked, okay? What? Wow. Should that tell you something right there, Shady Groove?
By these exact same people, this is the next sentence, by the exact same people that are doing what they're doing to Donald Trump right now. We were assaulted out of left field for no reason other than we were like, oh, wow, we discovered something and decided to share it. That was a problem in and of itself with no other context whatsoever. Everything else they made up.
Mm-hmm. And I had a problem with devolution, okay? And I let media, what were they called, Shady Groove? Media.
We the media.
We the media. I let we the media know. And I let we the media know that Kash has a problem with devolution. And then they proceeded to attack me, go into a Badlands server, and proceed to call him Trash Patel. Okay?
And right up
lived through, guys. These were all the alleged Q people. They were not Q people. They're Democrats. Shady.
Yeah, but let's expand on that for just a second for maybe the people that don't understand what happened. What he did was he tried to communicate a message from back and forth to Badlands Media about what Kash Patel was trying to explain, or we the media, about what Kash Patel was trying to say about devolution. And they were trying to say that it had no issue, and it did have an issue. Kash was not happy that Patel Patriot used his last name because he made people think that he was Kash Patel. And Kash Patel went on to social media and realized that, oh my God, all these people think that I'm like this devolution person. I'm not a devolution person. So we tried to explain that. So then we tried to get the message to them. And so because Jeff tried to get the message to them, instead of listen to the message, they pivoted and they attacked Jeff and told him that, and wrote that Patel Patriot wrote this huge Substack that was all lies about what happened, instead of just be an honest person and say what happened.
Mm-hmm. And devolution comes from the Flynn network, ultimately, guys. So let's pivot from there. I think, Don Jr. sees it. I think you all see it as well. Press 17 if you guys see it. I want to see, if you guys are actually seeing it. Are we live?
Are we on an island over here like by ourselves? Like it's just the two of us?
I am glad to be on this little island by myself.
I'm hoping that more join.
Yeah.
Because it's actually kind of quiet over here and nice whenever you can, like your mind sort of goes numb when you hear these people talk. We don't have to listen to every single thing they say. And you guys are like, oh, well, people have legitimate points. No, they don't. You're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and see if it'll stick, and it's not done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's called Q Island. That's right.
Yeah, we're all on Q Island.
Yeah, I love it. All
I
right,
love
so
that one.
let's pivot because Epoch Times. Okay, Jan Yerlich. I can never say his name right. Jan Yakilik. Okay, it's very interesting too because when the fake news is the loudest, we are over our target. Those who scream the most. Doesn't this sound interesting? That's a Kash Patel. Okay, he also said something to the effect of, "We serve at the pleasure of the president." It's also a Q post, guys. I mean, this is very interesting. Kash Patel, name to remember. And we're going to play him because it's a name to remember. We're not going to attack him. We're going to support him because Q, Shady.
Yeah, because Kash Patel, a name to remember.
Yeah. And he's a friend of this show. And he always will be. Here we go. Check it out.
They were preying on kids from 8 to 15 years old. These criminals were convincing children to mutilate themselves.
And by the way, he's talking about 764, that the whole Kyle Seraphin, who appears on InfoWars, who appears on Steve Bannon, is saying that was a conspiracy theory. It is a major focus of this FBI, and you should be very proud of this. Listen to what these people do.
I think this is so pervasive because it's not just, it's like, go back. Why don't you guys do a little bit of research? You go back through your InfoWars stuff and see how many times you can find 764. We've been talking about 764 for a long time, Order of Nine Angles for a long time, known of these in-depth cults. And I believe that these cults are connected to the military. And I'm this close to being able to prove it. But it's literally unbelievable, the dynamic that we're seeing unfold here, considering the people that, listen, at some point, people that don't say things are the most important.
Yeah. Here we go.
They were preying on kids from 8 to 15 years old. These criminals were convincing children to mutilate themselves.
In this wide-ranging interview with FBI Director Kash Patel,
this FBI is going to be releasing the murder rate numbers in December, which is the lowest it has been in modern history by double digits. We were successfully able to shut off all 13 precursors that make fentanyl.
how can you be so sure that this agreement will be honored by the other side? The explorers
We're back, guys. Sorry about that. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty.
Director Patel, such a pleasure to have you on American Thought Leaders.
John, thanks so much for coming to FBI headquarters and being in the Bonaparte room.
Incredible to be here. I understand you were in the Oval Office speaking with the president when you were both made aware of an article alleging that the president intends to fire you. I'm just wondering if you could explain what happened in the room at that time.
It was pretty comical because the president and I were both discussing law enforcement operations across the country with our team, the attorney general, and other members of the department. And we were made aware that there was reporting that I was being terminated. And the president laughed and he said, "What are they talking about?"
Now, remember who said that, Shady Groove? Kyle Seraphin.
That
Okay.
is correct. And then it was spread around by everybody within Alex Jones and General Flynn's network, top to bottom. Every single one of them came out screaming and yelling that Kash Patel, it was over, it was done, it was cooked. Not to mention they did this with Dan Bongino 3 or 4 months ago.
That's right.
Kash is doing a great job. In fact, he goes, "Kash, you want to take a photo in front of the Declaration of Independence and tell them how good of a job you're doing?" I said, "Sure thing, Mr. President." Obviously, everyone works at the pleasure of the president. I think we are executing the president's mission wildly successfully in a historic
And the people that are attacking him aren't working at the pleasure of the president because their butt hurt, Shady Groove. I mean, that's the simplest answer, isn't it?
fashion. And I think when the media gets together with anonymous sources like they always do, and it gets louder and louder and louder, that just means our mission is the most effective it's ever been. And that's the only thing I care about.
Something else hot off the presses.
So we had two. We serve at the pleasure of the president and those with the loudest voices, guys. Okay?
And that
those
is
that scream the loudest.
And I'd just like to say, there wasn't anybody like out there in public explaining to people that you've got to pay attention to the loudest voices, the ones that go shrill on Mockingbird media.
Mhm.
So, there was only really one person posting on the internet, one entity posting to the internet that ever told you to pay attention to the loudest voices.
Boom.
The criminal case against Director Comey was recently dismissed. What is your reaction to that?
Well, because it's pending in terms of appellate status and what we are going to do for the next steps, the judicial process can make whatever determination it wants, but we, the FBI, and our partners at the DOJ have numerous options to proceed, and we're executing on all those options. So we're not done.
Any detail available?
I would say stay tuned for right after Thanksgiving, and you'll see multiple responses, in my opinion.
And it was just announced today that Gabbard is releasing a new trove of documents, Shady.
Which is going to literally light this whole thing on fire, I think.
Maybe that's why the panic?
I would imagine that would be why the panic, sir. But we're just little old usses, right?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're always wrong.
Yeah, we can't figure this stuff out.
Until we're right.
So you've initiated some cultural changes at the FBI. That's something that many people have talked about. Some people like it, some people don't. What would you say is the most significant?
In my opinion, I felt that the FBI's workforce of about 37,000 people was too concentrated in what we call the national capital region, the area around Washington, D.C. Of that massive workforce, we had over 11,000, almost 12,000 people in the Washington, D.C. area. And a lot of our crime was happening in the rest of the country. So we made a big priority to crush violent crime and defend the homeland. Those are our priorities, 1 and 1. And to do it in the field with a smaller headquarters component. So what we did was we put 1,000 more agents in the field. Nearly every single state and every field office got a plus up of actual agents to go hit the streets, do the work that the president assigned us to do in terms of priorities, defending the homeland, crushing violent crime. And that cultural change has been well received by the field. And that's the only audience I care about. I don't care about what the media thinks and how they falsely report that we are debilitating our functions as an FBI. As you and I will shortly get into, if this was not the right decision, we would not be having the historic results we are having for the American people.
What would be the biggest historical results?
The single fact that this FBI has done this year, we have arrested 30,000 individuals, the FBI alone. Of the 30,000, 25,000 of them have been violent offenders. The best metric is to compare that number year to date to last year. We are over double the amount of arrests of violent offenders this calendar year alone, and we still have December to go. That should show you two things. One, there was an explosion in violent crime across this country because of the failures of the prior administration, and the prior leadership at this FBI failed to attack that problem set. And we came in and we put the cultural shift back out into the field, letting good cops be cops. They are the ones making the arrests and doing the work in the field with the smaller headquarters component, and the results speak for themselves. And if you go across the cities in this country, they are the safest they've ever been, but we still have a lot of work to do.
Well, so tell me a little bit about how has this actually impacted people on the ground? What's happened with crime?
From an FBI perspective, the agents are rejuvenated to go out there and redo their mission. We empowered SACs, our special agents in charge in the field, to be our field marshals. You know your area best. You know Charlotte best. You know Las Vegas best. You know Montana best. Go out there and hit the streets and work with us back at headquarters to make sure you're resourced for the specific mission sets that you have, to include law enforcement issues on tribal lands, which we have been a big plus up on. And so I think the cultural change has been massive, and the results speak for themselves. And we're going to keep pushing as hard as we can there.
So, and there's been no resistance among the rank and file, or
well, I think
higher?
When you make a change of this type, it's the tectonic sea change. You're changing decades of infused Washington, D.C. politicized institutional operations. And there is always going to be a D.C. knee-jerk reaction to that. I addressed how when the fake news is loudest, we're over our target. There's another way to tell. When the internal mechanisms and components of the Washington, D.C. outfit are pointing their knives at you, we also know we're doing a great job. Because when I go out and talk to governors and senators and congressmen, chiefs of police and sheriffs, they're the ones telling us that this FBI is partnering with them in ways that has never been done before, prioritizing interagency cooperation, state and local law enforcement, and that's leading to these massive takedowns and seizures we are having across the narcotics front, espionage front, counterterrorism front, and so much more. These numbers shouldn't just be glossed over, and you guys have done a fabulous job of actually reporting on the substance behind the numbers, and that's just due to one thing: the men and women out in the field doing the work.
I understand you're getting close to releasing some numbers around the murder rate.
Mm-hmm.
Could you give us some idea?
Yeah, I'm happy to announce finally that one of the big targets we had for this year, obviously, was to reduce the murder rate across America. And this FBI, is going to be releasing the murder rate numbers in December, which is the lowest it has been in modern history by double digits. We are down 25% from coast to coast on murders. If this FBI wasn't doing its job, and if this FBI, as the fake news would have you believe, was weaponized and politicized, then how could we possibly attain that number and also the other metrics that we've been discussing here today?
So I understand you've also been targeting the 764 network.
Mm-hmm.
This is, for those that might not be aware, violent, nihilistic international online group that
Mm-hmm.
grooms and exploits minors and children, so forth. What have you been doing to try to stop this group?
So this should be headline news every day, because the protection of our children is one of our biggest priorities here. And the 764 network started in Texas. That's why it's called the 764 network. It was the area code of where it originated. And the original founder of that network is doing 80 years in federal prison, and rightly so. But we made a huge push this year to protect our children against these online predators. And this is the worst of the worst. These individuals are actors throughout America and throughout the world who don't really have a connection to each other in terms of group focus and group mission set. But individually, they subscribe to this ideology that they can prey on our children online. And they go, and just to look at the cases we've showed you in North Carolina, DC, Jersey, and one other state recently, they were preying on kids from 8 to 15 years old, convincing them, these children, to send them nude and sexually explicit pictures, which amount to what we call child sexual pornography, which is a federal offense. What's worse is they were sharing and exchanging information about animal crushing, about torturing animals. What's worse than that is these individuals, these perpetrators, these criminals, were convincing children to mutilate themselves. And in some cases, unfortunately, more than one, these children ended up committing suicide because they were threatened by the perpetrator that we will go public if you tell anyone. And so I said, we are not having this at this FBI. So we made it a mission set priority to collaborative work against the 764 network. And I'm proud to announce today, Jan, that the number of arrests that this FBI has against 764 network this year alone is up 490% from the same time last year. That's how hard we're going after this disgusting group of individuals, these criminals, and we're not going to stop until we safeguard the online community. And it's a big project, and I'm really appreciative. This is the most in-depth discussion I've literally had with anyone in media on it.
Did you know that only 26%
I didn't
of young
know.
people trust the media?
Yeah.
Based. Wrong.
I didn't know either.
Use code MG Show.
There's also been this issue of children that came across the border. The border czar, Tom Homan, said that they've recovered, or I figured out where 30,000 of the 300,000 are. I understand the FBI has been involved in these efforts. What can you tell us about recovery of these children?
Our partners at DHS and Kristi Noem and Tom Homan have been fantastic, sealing the border for the president and the American people and helping children find their families. What we, the FBI, have done is also historic. We, just the FBI alone, has helped recover, identify, and find 6,000 missing children. 6,000 missing children. That is up 25% from the same time last year. We do these year-to-date comparisons because those are the metrics that measure and matter to the American people. And again, if this mission was failing, then how have we found the most children ever in the history of the FBI than ever before? Because this FBI cares about going after and protecting children and finding children and reuniting them with their families. And we're going to continue to do that great work.
The president has labeled Antifa as a domestic terror organization. Now, what is the impact of that, which isn't, I don't know if it's an official designation or how you describe it, different than an international terror organization? What is the impact of that on your work dealing with Antifa and related organizations?
No, it's absolutely brilliant move by President Trump because it allows us to use the tool set that we utilize for, say, foreign terrorist organizations. We are allowed to use that here in the United States of America to use added intelligence capabilities, to added operational capabilities in terms of mapping out the networks and seeing how they connect and using the banking sector and the financial sector and our partners at Treasury, most importantly. Because these groups, Antifa specifically, responsible for, as you know, the Prairie Land attack, which we've arrested, I think, 24 individuals on and charged them with material support to terrorism, and rightly so. They shot a federal agent in the neck and attacked a detention facility. We know what Antifa has done in Portland. Those investigations and prosecutions are ongoing. So we're treating them as a terrorist organization that they are and mapping out the money. And you know this from me. I've always said, follow the money. So with our partners in Treasury, we are following.
I heard somebody else say that.
Who said that, Shady Grove?
I've heard that before, man.
Wow.
I may be like, I'm banging my head against the wall. Propagate.
Yeah. And then when we followed the money, nobody in the media camp wanted to report on it.
No, they just wanted to follow the money that was given to them to start We the Media and generate fake content. That money, that wasn't the money we were talking about.
Right. That's the money they got, though.
The money and mapping out this entire network and treating them as a terrorist organization under the authorities the president has given us. And I think in the turn of the new year, you're going to see some very righteous prosecutions and investigations being publicized.
So let's head over to Asia. You know, you actually went to Asia, you went to China notably, but you also visited other partners. That seems unusual. Does this signal like a change in focus for the FBI, for you?
Yippers.
So I know we're going to talk about it, but the fentanyl campaign that I've launched since becoming director is a global campaign. It doesn't just rest with China. We've worked brilliantly with our partners in India to stop the transshipments there. We went to Japan on this trip for the same reason. We also reach new partnerships with our counterparts in the Japanese law enforcement community and intel communities to allow us to extradite back for the first time in 5 years, literally just last week, criminals that the American public and our Department of Justice and the FBI need prosecuted here. So we are working to expand our relationships. I believe our relationships at the FBI are the best they've ever been. And that's not me just saying it. You can't get a criminal back from the Japanese government if you don't have a great relationship with them. And that was part of the reason why we went out there. Same thing in Korea. And ultimately we ended up in Beijing.
You said you met with your counterpart at the Ministry of Public Security in Beijing. What was that like?
It was a bit of a surreal experience. I've never been to China. And President Trump, thankfully, had these powerful engagements with President Xi. And what I can speak to is the FBI's mission under that conversation, which is to attack the fentanyl crisis, which is killing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Americans these last few years. And we're not going to agree on everything. And this is what I told my counterpart when I sat down with him. We're not going to be 100% 100%. But where we can agree, our respective presidents said we should agree, and where the FBI's mission and the MPS mission overlap is shutting down the fentanyl precursors that the drug trafficking organizations are using down in Mexico to kill Americans. And we reached that agreement immediately. It wasn't me just showing up there. This was a 6-month campaign where I engaged my Chinese counterparts over the phone and video teleconference and through a law enforcement attaché office.
I just want to point this out too, Shady. Remember when they were all saying he took the private plane, but to get it to China and about all this? Guys, he's doing his job. And many want to disparage Kash Patel. Why? You might ask yourself. Wow.
Listen. This is what I'd like to ask you. This seems to be the relevant question that pops into my mind, and I'd like to share it with you just to see what your opinion is. Feel free to speak or comment on it. But do you think that Kash Patel is doing a good job?
I do.
Do you think that Kash Patel, when you're watching him right there, do you think Kash Patel wants to do a good job? Think about that. Does it look like someone that's sitting there and says, man, I want to get the things done that this president needs to do, and he has entrusted me to do it, and this is the way I think that it should be done, and I'm going to go about it very step by step, methodically, and do it right to the best of my ability? Does it look like that's what he's doing to you? Because it looks to me like he wants to do it right. It looks to me like that the job matters to him. It looks to me like he really cares about this stuff. And whenever we start talking about fentanyl is not like a medication, guys. It's basically a bioweapon. It really is. It's honestly a bioweapon. Yeah. And what he is doing is right now, and it's a bioweapon that's been used against you, the American people, by the globalists. We call them bloodlines. Globalists and bloodlines are the same things. They're not Asian. They're not Jewish. They're not Christian. They're not Muslim. They're globalists, and they are extinctionists, and they want you gone. They want humanity gone, or at least reduced down to the size where they don't have to listen to it. Okay. That's what they want. And Kash Patel right here, to me, guys, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm seeing a person that looks like they're trying to do their dead level best to do a good job for Donald Trump and this administration so that they're not on a hot seat. If I were working for Trump, I wouldn't want to be on a hot seat. No.
And it's funny too. The people are attacking him, his girlfriend. Because these people were fired for due cause, guys. The people that are criticizing this FBI, including Dan Bongino, are not in the FBI, and they are butthurt, guys. They probably worked for Comey. In fact, you got a picture of Kyle Seraphin he's like this tall, and Comey's like, that tall. Getting his FBI credentials. Do you think he might be a Comey interest?
Well, that's interesting that you said that. And I'm going to have to expand on what you just said there, because look at the way things worked out. What ended up happening? Oh, Kyle Seraphin gets thrown out of the FBI, and then who comes to help him? Kash Patel. And Kash Patel's foundation is right there to help him. So how would you insert a rogue FBI agent into Kash Patel's orbit to try to figure out what Kash was doing? Oh, you would fire them and say, oh, he became a whistleblower. And then all of a sudden, people that were trying to help whistleblowers would offer them assistance, and they would actually be running an intelligence operation.
Boom.
Call me crazy.
I mean, just open your eyes. The truth is learned and never told. I'm just showing you, and Shady, we're showing you what we see from our experience with these people, guys.
Correct.
We traveled with the Flynn network, We thought he was good. All of these anons were trying to make all the Q posts about General Flynn. This is a Trump movement. I'm sorry, guys. This is a Trump movement. And nobody in my real life even knows who the hell Flynn is.
That is a fact.
Yeah. Here we go. Keep going.
In fact. Not a fling
Kash Patel, name to
back.
remember.
Cash fact.
Kudos to Ambassador Perdue in China for helping us with this successful mission and being a great partner in the State Department and the White House, National Security. This is a whole of government approach. And we were successfully able to shut off all 13 precursors that make fentanyl and regulate fully 7 additional chemicals that alter fentanyl to make it a lethal, addictive drug that it is. And that pipeline being shut off is forcing drug traffickers to scramble, which we're seeing, for alternatives. And here's the good news. They know and we know there aren't any. That's why we came up with this list.
Interesting. So you're actually seeing right now drug traffickers scrambling. Can you expand on that a little bit?
So generally, without getting into the classified nature of the material where we have access to, we can see reflections from what the drug trafficking organizations, say down in Mexico and Colombia and Venezuela and elsewhere, are doing, the guys that are making the fentanyl. We know where they are, we know who they are, we know how they do it. And when we surveil and monitor and investigate these folks, we see that they are complaining about not having the necessary ingredients and mechanics to make fentanyl. That is an immediate impact that they haven't complained about in years. And
Wow.
I just want to remind folks that during the first administration, Trump administration, remember the problem was the production of fentanyl in mainland China, which President Trump successfully shut off, and the Chinese government adhered to that component. This is step 2 in the second administration, shutting off the precursors, because we literally cut the snake off at the head.
So at the Epoch Times, we've had about 25 years of reporting on how the Chinese Communist Party has not lived up to its promises, whether written or verbal. How can you be so sure that this agreement will be honored by the other side?
I think there's a couple of factors in play. One, President Trump and President Xi have struck up a relationship that is continuous, ongoing communications to work with each other on a multitude of issues, to include tariffs, which is not my wheelhouse, but it's all interrelated, right? The fentanyl tariffs, it's no surprise, were issued by President Trump because too many Americans were being killed. And they worked out an agreement where they said, our agencies are going to meet and make sure that there is no more fentanyl precursor flowing into the drug trafficking organizations, ultimately America. The relief they received was a tariff relief. And I believe, because the Chinese government wants additional tariff relief and that tariff relief to maintain, they are going to have to come to the table and continuously show the results with us. And that was my part of my agreement with my counterpart at the MPS. We are going to continue to work together. This wasn't a one-off. If I got to go back, I'll go back. But we're going to show the world jointly that we've adhered to this agreement. And if there isn't, or they violate that agreement on this particular issue, they know the consequences from the president are going to be severe in terms of tariffs and other matters. And so it is a collaborative effort, with sanctions also being applied by our partners in Treasury and OFAC designations. We've taken a whole of government approach to ensure that they're going to adhere to this. And if they don't, we'll be the first ones to call it out.
It sounds like, would it be fair to characterize it that the US government is using many forms of leverage to ensure compliance on the Chinese side?
Well, that's, I think, the brilliant approach by President Trump and this administration. The FBI can't do it alone. DOW can't do it alone. Treasury can't do it alone. But when we take our collective authorities and put them in one pot and focus it on, say, fentanyl, like we did here, then we can leverage not just the financial systems, the banking systems, the designation systems, the narcotics designation systems, but also allow law enforcement to work behind that to say, we are the decision point. If you guys violate this, I'm going to go call Scott Besson at Treasury. I'm going to go call Pete Hegseth at DOW. I'm going to call my other interagency heads and say, hey, we had an agreement. The presidents wanted us to have this agreement, and you guys are in violation. And it will not be a good result, I believe, for the Chinese government when it comes to tariffs and others.
So the previous FBI director is on record as having said that the Bureau was opening a new China-related counterintelligence case every 10 hours. I'm curious how that may have changed.
Sure. So I'm glad we're talking about espionage work. It's one of the most important things, most important parts of the national security mission, which is the priority of the FBI, next to crushing violent crime. And this FBI, year to date, you can open all the cases you want. Okay? We can go out there and open up hundreds and hundreds of cases. But if you don't actually have a conclusion to the FBI case, which is a disruption or an arrest, then what's the point of opening the case? Just saying we're opening cases is political public fodder. Here's the difference. This FBI alone, against the CCP, the DPRK, Iran and Russia, have collectively arrested 40% more espionage actors against America year to date this year alone from last year. That's the difference. We are actually disrupting them. We're kicking them out of our networks. We're bringing them to trial, and we're putting them in prison. That is a very powerful public display of force with our partners at the Department of Justice, and the Attorney General has been an excellent partner on all of this, fentanyl, counterespionage, crushing violent crime, because we cannot do our work without public prosecutions to reveal this information. And all of these matters on all of these espionage cases we've taken to court are very public. And I encourage the media and the folks watching to do a deep dive on those. We post every single takedown.
There's also this issue with,
And that's called transparency, guys. Okay. I mean, this is amazing. Wow.
it's typically dubbed transnational repression. And in the past, basically this was viewed by law enforcement, including sometimes the FBI, as some sort of dispute in Chinatown, for example, where people are, and there wasn't a realization that there's a state actor exerting pressure against dissidents, for example. I'm wondering how that approach has changed, perhaps, in this FBI, or if it has.
Same approach for us that differs from the prior. Opening up cases is step 1 of 10. Closing cases, bringing prosecutions and disruptions is how we powerfully and publicly shut them down. And we're doing the same thing on the transnational repression front, be it from the CCP, be it from the Iranian regime, be it from the Russian regime. And what we're seeing is these adverse actors across the counterespionage transnational repression platform come in and partner with people in the United States government's positions of authority, in the military, in the intelligence community, in think tanks. And we are taking those people down by arresting them and putting them on public display. Just this year, we've arrested scores of people in public trust, partnering with the Chinese government, selling them white papers, doing the same thing with Russia, doing the same thing with Iran. And we at the FBI are safeguarding American interests here, not just across those sectors, but also in the agricultural sector, where we have stopped and seized, just this week actually, we stopped the entrance of E. coli into the United States of America by a Chinese national. We did a similar operation in Michigan when they tried to bring in fungus and also alter our agricultural seeds through a Chinese researcher in the University of Michigan. Those are actual results that are making a difference versus just opening cases.
Makes me wonder how much we're not hearing about that's going on behind the scenes.
Well, I think, yes, there's some work we can't talk about, but I think the one thing that no one can say about this FBI is how much we put out publicly. We are literally putting out more information than ever before on every single case and arrest and takedown we do, between media and social media and other interviews. We are amplifying it through the great leadership at the White House and the Department of Justice. But we're also not just stopping there. We are working with our partners in Congress at a rate that's never been before seen. And that's a unique approach that I haven't talked about publicly. The FBI normally does investigations in private. We are crafting a way to do our investigations in private while informing the public with as much information as we can. What do I mean? James Comey, in his 3 to 4 years as director, gave Congress 3,000 pages of material for congressional oversight. Chris Wray, in his 7-odd years as director, gave Congress 13,000 pages of material for congressional oversight. In my 9 months, we've provided Congress 40,000 pages of materials. And we're going to keep going. And we're going to keep lifting redactions. But
I just real quick want to give a shout out to Cash's tie, the Liverpool Football Club tie. That's pretty awesome, guys. You can buy it if you guys want to get it. It's pretty good.
My balance is to make sure the public is as informed as they can be, unlike my predecessors did, but also run investigations and prosecutions and securing those. And at the end, having them meet to have a full public disclosure. Now, that just takes a little bit of time. And I know there's frustrations with why can't you just release everything all at once? But as we've been talking about, my success is the endpoint, the disruption, the arrest, the prosecution, and the takedown, and the ultimate accountability in the public arena.
I want to give you the opportunity to set the record straight on a couple of things that have been in the media a lot. And one of them is, the allegation is there was too much of an effort in terms of the security detail, like an overprotection of your partner, Alexis Wilkins. How do you think about this? This
before he goes in, can you pause this?
Well, first of all,
but before he goes into that, I just want to jump in here, and this is very critical. This is very critical for us to understand how to navigate the world that we're in. You have to understand where the curiosity comes from. There's a reporter from the Epoch Times sitting there across from Kash Patel. Who is he asking the question for? Were there anybody for real in the American public, I mean for real, that were being critical of either Kash Patel using that airplane, or B, Kash Patel deciding that his girlfriend Alexis needed security? Was there anybody actually asking that question other than the operators online? I'm saying this because this is the way that the system works. This is the way the process, the program, the whole thing works to keep gatekeeping us, everybody's mind, around a certain type of little small circles, because they interject all this stuff and then amplify it, spread it, then act like everybody thinks it. The next thing you know, you're sitting there looking like, wait a minute, I think that. Why do I think that? I can't figure out why the hell I think that. Because you don't think that. Someone stuck it in your brain and you let it get past your protection mechanism. And the next thing you know, you're like all hot and bothered over something that you really don't care about. And it's actually not a big deal.
Right, exactly right. And he's going to address the attacks on his girlfriend stemming from Kyle Seraphin, again, who's a regular on InfoWars, Shady Groove.
Yep.
And this is the network that is attacking Kash and Alexis Wilkins, who's amazing, by the way. And she's not these people are insane.
But effectively, Epoch Times is doing the bidding of Kyle Seraphin here. And this is what you'll see. They did the exact same thing to us. You paint this big thing and then you make everybody think all these things about somebody. Then the next thing you know, we are this.
And you know what their evidence is? Let's just show the evidence. So allegedly she was a contractor for PragerU, Alexis Wilkins. Right. She wasn't on the payroll even. She was a contractor, did contract work for PragerU. According to the people that the PragerU CEO or something had worked in the IDF because she was Jewish and she had ties to Mossad. So now that means that Alexis is Mossad. That's the stupid thinking that people have, guys. And it's wrong, guys. It's a loose connection of bullcrap.
And that's very good. That's a very good point. Because whenever we had literal connections, like, oh, no, you like literally lived in a house that the known Mossad agents lived in for years and years and years. You lived in that house, which was in the back of another Mossad agent house on the same property as Mossad agents, developed and organized by the long list of people that go in and out of Playboy Mansion that are the protective security. Yeah, like those people and that person, Kate, aren't connected. But you can take this loose, tiny little connection that Jeff just mentioned, which is the only thing that they can tie to Alexis. And she, of course, is Mossad.
Right.
Isn't this interesting how it just all unfolds so perfectly?
So, and guys, just this is what we've been attacked by those people that are attacking Kash now. That's how we know. Okay. I've also been put on a list with Hillary Clinton. Okay, she wanted me off X, and so do the people that are attacking Kash and Alexis, guys. Isn't that amazing? Real quick, Shady Groove, before Kash gives his answer, I'm going to go ahead and do this real quick. Thank you, Yeti, for letting me know. We got Blackout Coffee. You all know I don't start my day without two things: standing for what I believe in and a strong cup of coffee that does the same. That's why I drink Blackout Coffee, 100% American company that is unapologetically patriotic and pro-2A. And anti-woke. They just don't roast incredible coffee. They stand for what the very values of this country was built on. God, family, and freedom. Every bag is roasted right here in Florida and shipped straight to your door. No corporate garbage or virtue signaling. Just real coffee for real Americans. If you're like me and need to hit the ground running, try their Morning Reaper medium roast. It's bold, smooth, and kicks like a mule. If you're into something a little darker, like Founding Fathers Dark Grab their 1776 blend. It's rich, fearless, and roasted to perfection. Support a company that actually gives a damn about this country. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/rumble and use code RUMBLE for 20% off your first order. Blackout coffee. Wake up, stand up, never backing down.
Never backing down. More coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go back to this. So the reason why Epoch Times had to ask this question is because of InfoWars, Kyle Seraphin, and the bullcrap narratives that these people are trying to split this country up. We have been infiltrated, okay? The MAGA movement isn't, what's his nut? Fuentes. The MAGA movement isn't Flynn. It's Donald Trump. It's not Alex Jones. It's Trump. And it's you. You are the MAGA movement, not them.
47 in the chat if you believe that InfoWars is dead.
47.
Let's go. Back to Cash.
Thank you for letting me address that. I think it's disgusting that an agency head has to even address the fact that their partner's life is continuously being threatened. We treat my partner like any agency head treats their partner, with the authorities that are in place already, following all the rules and regulations. And when any individual across any agency head and their respective spouse or partner has a threat to their life, we come in hard. And unfortunately, there are multiple threats against Alexis's life that have caused us to properly secure her safety. And that is done independently by career FBI agents. I don't have any part in that. They make those decisions. They are the ones doing the security backgrounds and security analysis. And the people on social media using it to generate clicks and trash are jeopardizing the safety of her and other great Americans. And we are going to protect them every step of the way. We are not doing anything any agency head has not done before us.
Now, it's funny. They're all saying, whoa, you need the FBI SWAT. Yes, because of your BS reporting and your BS narrative that isn't even true.
Exactly, Jeff. So okay, this is what we didn't say. If there were connections, this is what we didn't say. If there were connections, if there was something that these people have, yes, it would be a concern to think that, oh, maybe there's somebody that is like, quote unquote, honeypotting Kash Patel. Of course, that sounds crazy and nobody wants that to happen. But you got to have some sort of evidence. You got to have at least something that makes some sense. You can't just make it up. And that's the reason that this defamation suit that she has filed is so amazing. I think it's great, because it's exposing something. If they can prove that she is Mossad, then all they have to do is great. She just opened themselves up. She's like an open book. She's like, here, you can take any information I want. Here's discovery. What do you want? Look at here, look there. This is my financials. What do you want? Here's all my discovery. She became a transparent open book by filing this lawsuit, but they spin it and try to make it seem the opposite. Like if she were hiding from it, if she were really Mossad, then she sure as hell wouldn't come out. Did you see Epstein file a lawsuit? Did you see Ghislaine Maxwell file a lawsuit of people accusing them of being Mossad? Did you see Alex Jones file a lawsuit of being accused of being? Isn't this all interesting?
Yeah. I mean, Q said Alex Jones was Mossad. All right.
Correct. He didn't file a lawsuit against anybody.
No. Here we go.
What the second question that has been out there quite a bit is that perhaps you might be using the FBI jet.
And this is another one.
Often.
Here we go. This is another InfoWars narrative being busted by the FBI Director Kash Patel, name to remember. Guys, this is BS. He is the FBI Director, okay? And he was joking one time, and they say that means something. I can't wait to fly on the FBI jet. That's because he wants to be the FBI Director, and he's doing a damn good job of it, Shady.
And we want the person that's the FBI director to be on the jet, and we want the person and think about what he's doing. He's not using the airports, he's using the airfields, and he has made it mandatory that all people that travel from the FBI, none of them are allowed to go through the airports. They've all got to land at an airfield in Minnesota or an airfield in California. You don't get to land at LAX. So that costs us a lot less money, but they don't talk about that. They skip over all of that, because they want you to be weak. They want to weaken MAGA, guys. Why is this not
obvious?
Just see?
It's obvious. Oh, and then I get like, Trump is going to enact an option for a 50-year mortgage, and everybody's acting like, oh, it's an option. You don't need to use it. Somebody's saying, oh, well, it's only about a $300 a month savings. $300 a month for somebody is a lot of money, pal. All right. And if you guys need a first-time home buyer, kids nowadays, you need 20% down in a 30-year mortgage and they can't afford it. Okay. Now you're going to get a 50-year mortgage where they're able to gain a little bit of equity and then maybe sell it. Even though it's a 50-year mortgage, they're still going to make money. It is the stupidest thing. People want to divide us on every little part of everything, Shady.
It's called faux outrage. This is what they're experts at. They're experts at looking outraged. And so if they look outraged, it can motivate you into sensationalism or extremism. Think about it. They're saying it like Donald Trump is going to come in and upend everybody's 30-year mortgage and turn it into a 50-year mortgage. And there's nothing that you can do. The orange man cometh.
And I'm arguing with a guy from Canada. Meanwhile, the Canadian schools have Antifa books teaching to their kids. All right.
Comic books.
Worry about your country, Canada. All right.
Antifa comic books for their children that you can buy on Amazon.
Why don't you worry about Canada? I'll worry about America because I'm American, Shady Groove.
Yeah, we're doing good here. We're good.
I love it.
The golden age
is dead.
InfoWars is dead, and the golden age is running over it like a Mack truck.
In fact, everybody that has an X account, go hashtag InfoWars is dead. That's it. And repost it. Okay?
Let's
go do it. Let's do it now. InfoWars is dead.
Light it up. How many can
for
we get?
Personal reasons. In the context of having criticized the previous FBI director about this exact thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Simple. We put out the flight information for the American public. No other director did. We put it all out. I'm using the plane less than my prior two predecessors, the FBI plane. And just to foot stomp this, I don't have the option of flying commercial. I'm not allowed to. That is not a choice that is given to me. The U.S.
Wow, isn't that what the MG show said right when this first psychological operation started? We know that it's demanded by Congress. He doesn't have an option.
You can't just like jump in an airplane and go down to Albuquerque.
Okay, Kyle Seraphin and Alex Jones, I'll fly commercial.
I'm going to make the sea lion sound here.
Government has said the FBI director, not just me, any of them, cannot use commercial air. On top of that, Jan, the prior directors utilized airfields such as Reagan National Airport to the tune of $4,000 to $7,000 additional taxpayer dollars, just for the matter of convenience. I am the first FBI director to mandate the use of government airfields, and had Chris Wray and Comey done the same thing, they would have saved the American taxpayer $4 million. So I'm the only one instituting economic and financial reform around that, and also using it sparingly, the FBI jet when I need to. But yes, am I going to continue to have a personal life just like every other agency head? Absolutely. We make a great sacrifice to be in these positions, and we are allowed to have some form of personal life.
So you and I first encountered each other in the context of the Russia collusion investigation. Now what's dubbed, well, first it was dubbed Spygate. Now I believe Russiagate is the term. I know you've spoken about what you can talk about, what you can't talk about, but can you give us some indication of is there any progress or any resolution going to be seen in this around this issue, which has been ongoing for, like I said, almost a decade?
Absolutely. You're going to see it. And again, it's one of those things that as we've been talking about, we're working with our congressional partners to give them what we can give them. The reason the American public knows about the corruption and scandal and unlawful activities during Russiagate is because of the work I started at House Intel. And we've seen now the introduction through the James Comey case about the burn bags and everything else. We've also seen, thanks to the FBI's disclosure to Congress, the thing known as Arctic frost in the surveillance of senators and members of the House of Representatives and other law enforcement officials and government officials, to include myself. It's been made public that those investigations are ongoing. So that's where I have to leave it. But we are not done with either of those things. We are going to have full accountability, and we are going to have full transparency for the American public. It is the single largest weaponization, politicization of law enforcement against America and specifically targeting a political party because the institutional elite in Washington, D.C. didn't like them and didn't want them to win. President Trump was the number one victim, and the rest of us were just as equally victimized. And the American public deserves to have not only accountability, but reform to make sure that never happens again.
It sounds like you're including Arctic frost revelations in this, what you're discussing here. Is that right?
Well, we've made that public to Congress. We've said this is ongoing, so we can say that here.
Just one thing about the burn bags really quickly. This room 9582, how is it that people didn't know it existed, or how was it found? Can you give us any sense of this at all?
I'll just say this generally. When the United States government and agency heads want things to disappear and want things to be buried and hidden, they know how to do it. But what they didn't count on was President Trump winning, him electing leadership across the United States government to say, go find out how they corrupted and weaponized law enforcement. And that's what we did. That's what we're doing. That's how we found it. And we're going to continue to expose it. And you're going to see everything we found in that room in one way or another, be it through investigation, public trial, or disclosure to the Congress.
Director Patel, as we finish up, why come to the Epoch Times for this interview? Why not pick another media, perhaps legacy media?
Because the reality is most of the media continues to report information falsely. The Epoch Times, since before I even knew you guys, have continuously reported credibly using facts and calling balls and strikes. And
Real quick, I want to address the comment here on YouTube. Cool Cash, what about our domestic problems? The lowest murder rate in decades, okay? The
30,000
lowest
arrests.
murder rate in decades.
30,000 arrests in 9 months. All the criminals are coming off your streets, guys.
But Cash, what about our domestic problems?
Fentanyl is a domestic problem, Jeff, in case you didn't
Yeah,
know.
it is.
Yeah.
Here we go. Back to the Cash interview.
not being political. So I'm always willing to sit down with an organization who reports the information and the facts and doesn't politicize or shade it and can criticize me if it's based in fact. I will gladly accept it. And that's what I hope and continue that the Epoch Times will do for the FBI and me while we're here.
Keep you accountable.
Yes, absolutely. We have to have a media that actually keeps us accountable, not one that's interested in generating clicks and putting up trash on social media.
Well, Director Kash Patel, it's such a pleasure to have had you on.
Thanks so much, Sean. I really appreciate it.
Thank you all for joining FBI
Thank
Director
you, Jan.
Kash Patel.
Appreciate that. Great interview, Shady. And he did ask the questions that I loved his answers for, and it's the answers that we gave regarding the plane. He's required, guys, okay? You know, these butthurt ex-FBI people that were fired with cause, okay, are all mad because they're not in the FBI anymore. Candace Owens is not in TPUSA. Do you think that's why she's attacking TPUSA? General Flynn is not in the administration. Do you think that's why he's acting like, I like Trump and then I hate Trump? Like Trump, Epstein files aren't going away. Are we live? Stop it, okay? We are done with you, InfoWars. We're done with you, General Flynn. We're done with you, Patrick Byrne. We're done with all of these asshats. We are now separate from the InfoWars Flynn Stone Network, and we are proud of it. Please share this show, Shady Groove.
Please share this information, because what we are considering right now to share with you is that we are, yes, we, the MG show, you, all of us collectively are the virus in their system, as well as the antidote to their disease at the same time. The virus in their system is us, because they can't exist whenever there's a control. A control means like some normal people around that have sane minds that really root everything in provable facts. Okay,
Yeah.
That's what InfoWars lacks. They do not associate whatsoever with provable facts. They harm and traffic in faux outrage. That's what it is. It's called faux outrage. In other words, they can look at the Sunday Evening Times and act like it's going to murder you. That's faux outrage. You have to be able to have discernment, and you have to be able to realize that their emotional reactions to things, there's a difference between faux outrage and righteous indignation.
Yeah.
Righteous indignation has an actual purpose. In other words, you believe what it is that you are upset about. Faux outrage you don't believe it. You are doing it for an operation, a tactic, or a specific outcome.
Yeah, I see the Keith Kellogg information. That's another psychological operation.
Yes.
Do you realize that he only had a position for 360 days, and that's why he's not? This other crap is crap, guys.
That's why they're spinning it because they have to attack Kellogg because they're trying to weaken the idea that Kellogg is loyal to Trump.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the People's General is Raisin Cane. Okay,
Fact.
that is a QD code. Not a fake QD code. So, Shady Grove, there you have it right there. That was a great interview. We stand behind this show, stands behind Kash Patel. I understand people like Bama 4279. You've got this, worm put into your system if you're on X, okay? These people are just talking out of their you-know-whats, okay? And they're jealous. Sometimes the simplest, explanation is the best answer, right? Mm-hmm. And that is they are not part of the administration. They're not in the FBI. They're mad. They're butthurt. They don't mean anything. In fact, I blocked him. I mean, he blocked me first because I kept calling him out, and I think we were too effective. But that's what happens. They block me and Shady when we try to go in there and say and disagree. Is that fair? Right? I mean, you guys are saying the most ridiculous things, and people are believing it because they're stuck in the deep dream. They're stuck in X, and they're believing crap that isn't even true. They're believing stuff that has no factual evidence, okay? Just loose ties, jumping on the bandwagon. You're jumping on the bandwagon. You're believing straw man arguments. Take everything out of what people say and listen for the facts, and then take those facts and then go look it up yourself. That's the only way we're going to heal from this psychological manipulation.
That's right. We have Kellogg. From the best that we know, guys. There's no credible evidence that Kellogg leaked anything. I just want to let you guys know that this is an operation that is being generated. It looks like by the right wing people that are putting this stuff out there about General Kellogg. We have no evidence at this point or any confirmation that he leaked anything for any reason. He expired his tenure at a 300-day expiration date, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. He'll be leaving on time because when you give somebody a special envoy, there is a time expiration date. He is leaving on the agreed expiration date, guys. Okay? He's leaving on time. He's not leaving early. He's not leaving because of anything else.
So all you got to do, Jeff, so basically what you're saying is all you got to do is map out when his tenure is going to end and have stories ready to insert into the media that he's done something wrong or that he's anti-Trump or that he has somehow been at displeasure of President Trump to smear him because you know that his tenure is going to end and you know that Donald Trump trusts him.
And we got a new peace plan emerging.
At the same time, which, by the way, looks like we are gangbusters, maybe even going to fix this week. Yeah. Lots of movement on the Ukraine stuff.
And I want to show you this. White House Ukraine envoy. This is Politico, Shady. They know what's happening. Keith Kellogg, special envoy, is leaving his post in January. Move that comes to White House shops a proposal to end the war. White House official granted an anonymity to discuss personal moves within the administration. Confirmed news of Kellogg's departure on Thursday. It was first to report on the special envoy's plans. This is he tapped him with the war between Russia shortly after winning the re-election in November 2024. But the national security advisor to Mike Pence, retired lieutenant general, they're saying fell out of favor. But I don't think so. Okay, he's been largely shut out of peace talks. He did his job. And Witkoff and Marco Rubio are the ones that should be doing the dealings. This is all made up crap. Okay. Kellogg got people to the table. He did his jobs. He did his job, Shady.
And right now, from what I'm understanding, there's been a number of raids over there in Ukraine with some corruption issues around Zelensky. So all of this stuff seems to be unfolding in real time. And remember, the Washington Post or New York Times was trying to say last week they're trying to throw the negotiations off or screw it up in public by saying, oh, Witkoff is talking to the envoys and trying to explain to them exactly what it is that Trump wants. And they're acting like he's somehow being manipulative about Donald Trump. And no, these people don't know anything about how to live life or negotiate. They write a story and act like, no, Donald Trump, they impressed him. Trump's like, oh, wow, you're really that's what I want you to do.
People are doing their jobs.
But that's crazy, Jeff.
Yeah.
It
People are
seems
actually
so
doing their jobs.
unusual.
And they're actually like, it's not Keith Kellogg's job to negotiate the peace plan. It's Witkoff, it's Trump, Witkoff, and it's Marco Rubio. It's those people. Those are the executives you get to the table. As a sales guy, I know how this works. I'm a sales guy. Okay. I'm going to bring in my manager and vice president to meet my customer to try to see if I can get them to. You see how that works, guys? It's very simple. And all this hubbub and chaos, we talked about the X algorithm. They love when people are mad. Okay. Rage gets clicks. Rage pays the bills.
Oh,
and that's
outrage.
all you see because the truth doesn't pay very well, Shady Groove.
Oh, outrage. Yeah, because whenever we come in there and we try to talk sense to these people, my comment gets buried into probable spam and nobody sees what I'm posting because they are too busy lathering in themselves each other up over the doom and gloom at the top of the post.
That's right.
There's no doom and gloom coming, by the way. America in the golden age is real. I know that a lot of people don't want to hear this. Maybe, a number of people out there that are really, really invested in the doom and gloom reality coming. You're allowed to have doom and gloom, by the way. If you'd like that, you can feel free to go find it. They are serving you up a nice heaping helping of it every single morning if you'd like it. But you can also choose to walk to the golden age with all of us because that's where we're going. I'm going to the future of innovation. I'm going to the future where Americans are actually guided towards a successful life and a productive life and away from the drug-infested criminal culture that has been inundated on us. There wasn't a criminal culture in America 60 years ago outside of the Roman mafia.
Do people think that the military-industrial complex loves the drug trade?
Yes, I do.
That's why they're mad at the, bombing of the boats. That's why they're mad at this trafficking. That's why they're mad at the fentanyl stuff. And they got to disparage Trump and his cabinet because they're not in it. And Trump is winning. Trump is winning, Shady.
Do you want to hand over your elections to those military people?
No.
Why?
Because I've seen how that works out.
But the military is the only way, Jeff. We got to give them all of our elections, and then they're going to spit us out a result.
And remember, Flynn said that Trump was going to be the president for the next 4 years in 2020. He lied right then and there, unfollowed.
If we'd gotten the military to run our elections, they would have probably told us John McCain was the president or something.
Real quick, Shady Groove. We got, I didn't realize this, but Caroline Levitt is going to brief the members of the media today. I didn't see that on the schedule.
That's not it. That's not in the title.
I know, but I'm going to go ahead and start this real quick, Shady Groove, because it's Rumble and Perplexity. Looking for smarter ways to browse and enjoy your favorite content without ads? Get Rumble Perplexity Pro bundle with Rumble Premium for just $19.99 a month when you sign up before December 31st. Normally a $29.99 value. With Rumble Premium, you'll get an ad-free viewing experience, and that's huge, guys, across all your devices, and access to exclusive premium content from the MG Show. No interruptions, just the videos and streams you love anytime, anywhere. Plus, Perplexity Pro boosts your productivity with unlimited research, unlimited uploads, exclusive member perks, and access to the latest, most advanced AI models for faster, smarter answers from every day. Save over 30% on this powerful bundle. Head over to rumble.com/premium before December 31st to sign up and unlock your premium experience.
Are you saying you could get a bundle with Rumble?
Bundle with Rumble.
Wow.
Perplexity
bundle with Rumble. Good luck on that.
So
Great.
What is on our title show is the President Trump gaggle. And we're going to go to that right now. And I'm going to be watching Press Secretary Caroline Levitt. While we're here, we will break out of this. But you got to listen to this, Shady Groove. This is our president. I elected this guy, Shady. This is what he said. Some really good things in here, man.
I'm sure he came out and told us that Israel is controlling him. Yeah. And that he worked with Erica to take out Charlie. A number of things he admitted to, yeah.
No, that didn't happen.
No.
Because that's all bull.
Oh.
Here we go.
We're in a very nice area, but it's rocky. Any questions? We had some great economic numbers come out. As you know, we're doing very well economically. A lot of factories are being built all over the country and all of that, but very strong numbers came out. Go ahead.
Can you give us an update on what took place in South Korea today, these talks between the U.S. and the Ukrainians?
Well, they're going along well. We want to stop people from being killed.
right, guys.
Announcements
Caroline.
of President Trump's very busy week ahead. Tomorrow, President Trump will host his 9th cabinet meeting of the year alongside his incredible cabinet, who continue to deliver for the American people at a record pace. Later in the afternoon tomorrow, the president will make an announcement in the Oval Office on his initiative to create Trump accounts to give the next generation of Americans a jump start on savings. It will be a very exciting announcement indeed, especially for all of the parents across the country with young children and babies. On Thursday, President Trump will host the presidents of the Republic of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo to sign the historic peace and economic agreement that he brokered. On Thursday night, the President and the First Lady will celebrate one of America's greatest traditions, the lighting of the national Christmas tree on the Ellipse. And on Friday, President Trump will attend the FIFA World Cup final draw at the Kennedy Center. You all will be seeing and hearing from the President every day this week, so you have me today, and then he will take on the rest of the week himself. Next, I would like to address the horrific tragedy that took place in our nation's capital last week. A foreign terrorist that the Biden administration failed to properly vet ambushed 2 members of the West Virginia National Guard who were honorably serving here to keep the residents and visitors of Washington, D.C. safe. U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf was severely wounded in the attack and remains hospitalized while he continues to fight for his life. Tragically, U.S. Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom died of her wounds. She was just 20 years old. President Trump.
Let's pray for these, the family and the. We need to pray for these heroes, Shady Roof.
And the entire White House are praying for Andrew's full recovery at the request of his parents and their personal phone call with the president over the weekend. And we are keeping Sarah's family and friends in our prayers during this unimaginably difficult time. Sarah and Andrew represent the very best of America, 2 young patriots who were willing to put on the uniform and risk their lives in defense of their fellow Americans. Both of them truly embody the profound words spoken by Jesus Christ in the gospel. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. Sarah and Andrew are heroes, and we will never forget their sacrifice. That means ensuring the monster responsible for this atrocity is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and faces the most severe punishment possible. It also means reckoning with why this atrocity was allowed to happen in the first place, so that it may never occur again. Here are the facts. The terrorist who gunned down American soldiers blocks away from the White House in an ambush was an Afghan national who was flown into our country by Joe Biden's administration in September 2021 in the chaotic wake of their botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, one of the most embarrassing moments in the history of our great country. Joe Biden's historic failure in Afghanistan continues to haunt this country and our men and women in uniform. Not only did this surrender lead to a suicide bombing that killed 13 American heroes in Kabul, but now National Guard troops were shot on U.S. soil by the same kind of enemy. We continue to live with the deadly consequences of Joe Biden's horrific leadership. Nearly 100,000 Afghans were recklessly released into the United States with little to no vetting. There was no regard for the disorder and violence that this would unleash on American communities and American culture. Reportedly, thousands of these strangers and unknown individuals were flagged to the Biden administration for national security, public safety, and fraud concerns. But the terrifying truth is that the Afghanistan debacle is just a small part of Democrats' complete and total betrayal of the American people during the Biden years. The tragedy that we just witnessed the day before Thanksgiving is a reminder that untold thousands of terrorists, gang members, and criminals were invited into our country and remain here to this very day. The border is now secure, thanks to President Trump, but the threat in our interior remains real and urgent. These public safety threats are already inside our land, and President Trump was elected on a promise to find and remove them, and he has already taken significant steps and made significant progress towards fulfilling this promise. But there is more work to be done because President Trump believes that he has a sacred obligation to reverse the calamity of mass, unchecked migration into our country. As a result, the Trump administration is now actively re-examining all of the Afghans imported into the country by Joe Biden. Any individual who threatens our national security or our citizenry will be subject to removal. President Trump has already permanently paused migration of foreign nationals from third world countries that pose a very high risk to the United States. For too long, past American presidents supported self-destructive immigration policies that allowed foreigners who outright hate our country and have no interest in assimilating into our culture. They've allowed these individuals to flood peaceful American communities. This disastrous approach has drained our welfare program, driven up the cost of housing, suppressed wages, and jeopardized the safety of law-abiding American citizens. In fact, according to a new bombshell report from the New York Times, Somalian migrants in Minnesota have defrauded nearly $1 billion in taxpayer-funded benefits under Democrat Governor Walz's leadership. President Trump is putting an end to this dangerous America Last approach. His position is rooted in common sense. In the wake of last week's atrocity, it is more important than ever to finish carrying out the president's mass deportation operation. America cannot allow millions upon millions of unvetted illegal aliens to be rewarded with amnesty after they broke our nation's laws to come here. They must go back to their home countries. It is also essential to immediately address the massive fraud and corruption that has been going on for decades in other aspects of our immigration system, most notably when it comes to asylum claims. Millions of people who have come here under false pretenses are told blatant lies now enjoy temporary legal status. President Trump is ending this scam as well, and I would point out that the Democrats have tried to block this administration from doing so at every turn with lawsuit after lawsuit. The hard truth is that even when it comes to our legal immigration system, past presidents have failed to ensure that all prospective citizens love America, will add value and contribute to our communities, and will assimilate into our culture. Leaders have a duty to defend and advance the interests of their own people, not foreign nationals. Leaders also have a duty to preserve the integrity and character of our nation's national identity. That is why President Trump is more committed than ever to fully restoring American sovereignty by keeping our borders secure, removing all illegal alien invaders, and rebuilding a legal immigration system that makes sense and benefits our country. President Trump has no higher responsibility than to defend our homeland and our people, and he will never waver in doing so. With that, I will open it up to questions, and we'll lead today with Isabel Brown, who is in our new media seat. She's a very popular face on television these days. She's built a great independent media podcast and platform with the Daily Wire, and I appreciate your being here, Isabel.
Now, after Isabel, I'm not sure what she's going to ask, but I cannot wait to hear the reeing of the mainstream media. I mean, this is going to be great, guys.
They have a lot of things to read about, sir.
Thank you, Caroline. Appreciate it and appreciate the briefing. Many Americans, in light of these recent events that you just mentioned, are starting to say that we are being invaded as a country, culturally and logistically, when it comes to immigration. And we know that immigration without assimilation is indeed invasion. So given the recent remarks from Vice President Vance on a college campus about dramatically reducing legal immigration to address some of this crisis, and President Trump's Truth Social post last week about individuals who may be non-compatible with Western civilization, are there any conversations happening or plans being made behind the scenes for the administration to implement at least a temporary immigration moratorium, for example, in light of what the American people might be calling for?
So, Isabel, it's a great question. I think I spoke a little bit to the heart of your question in my opener there. I would add that the Trump administration has done more to limit migration, both illegal and legal, than any administration in history. And I'll just walk you through some of the actions that we have taken thus far. Number one, the Trump administration issued a travel ban for 19 countries, including Afghanistan, special immigrant visas, which is a legal pathway to get here, which we know many Afghans have utilized to come into the country, have now been paused since the tragic shooting last week. Refugee admissions were suspended for Afghans from this administration on day one, and refugee admissions into the country right now are essentially at zero, with the exception of Afrikaners fleeing persecution in South Africa. The State Department has also heightened their scrutiny and vetting of all visas and have revoked visas, as you know, for those who do not align with our country's national interests. The Secretary of State has the right to do that, and we've taken unprecedented action to do just that. We are also now pausing all asylum adjudications for additional vetting as well. And so additional actions I don't have to read out for you today, but I would just remark that the president has made tremendous progress on this front, and it's why it's so crucial that we not only secure the borders, which the president did in record time. We have 0 illegal aliens entering into the country month after month, but we also are taking a look at those who are already in the interior of our country and removing them if they are here illegally, and also taking a look at these visas. Again, having a visa in the United States is not a right, it is a privilege. And the Secretary of State, if you are deemed contrary to our country's foreign national interests, has the right to revoke that privilege. Thank you. Gabe.
Caroline, excuse me, regarding Venezuela, the president said yesterday that Secretary Hegseth had denied that second strike, the reported second strike on an alleged drug vote on September 2nd, the secretary said to the president that didn't happen. But to clarify, I just wanted you to clear this up. In his social media post, Secretary Hegseth didn't go into details about that strike. He just said U.S. operations in the area were lawful, and he said that the story and media reports were fabricated. So to be clear, does the administration deny that second strike happened, or did it happen and the administration denies that Secretary Hegseth gave the order?
The latter is true, Gabe, and I have a statement to read for you here. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have made it clear that presidentially designated narco-terrorist groups are subject to lethal targeting in accordance with the laws of war. With respect to the strikes in question on September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated. And I would just add one more point to remind the American public why these lethal strikes are taking place. Because this administration has designated these narco-terrorists as foreign terrorist organizations. The president has a right to take them out if they are threatening the United States of America and if they are bringing illegal narcotics that are killing our citizens at a record rate, which is what they are doing. And under the previous administration, there was enough fentanyl trafficked into our country to kill every American man, woman, and child many times over. And so that's why you've seen a drastic difference in this administration's policy with respect to the last, and it's one of the many reasons the American public reelected this president and support this Secretary of War in conducting these strikes.
So to clarify, Admiral Bradley was the one who gave that order for a second strike.
And he was well within his authority to do so.
And a separate question, the president several days ago said it was his intention to pardon the former president of Honduras, who was a convicted drug trafficker. And yesterday on Air Force One, the president said that if someone sells drugs in that country, that doesn't mean you arrest the president and put him in jail for the rest of his life. How is that different than what the administration is accusing Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro?
You're cherry picking the president's statement a little bit yesterday, as he also said yesterday the people of Honduras have highlighted to him how the former president Hernandez was set up. This was a clear Biden over prosecution. He was the president of this country. He was in the opposition party. He was opposed to the values of the previous administration, and they charged him because he was president of Honduras. There were some other egregious facts that came out during this trial, and I would encourage you to report on them. His court-appointed lawyer was only given 3 weeks to prepare for trial. He shared that his conviction was lawfare by the leftist party, who, quote, struck a deal with the Biden-Harris administration. Hernandez has highlighted there was virtually no independent evidence presented, and many of his conviction was based on testimony from many admitted criminals who hoped that cooperating would reduce their own penalties. So the president heard the concerns from many people, as he does, and he's, of course, within his constitutional authority to sign clemency for whomever he deems worthy of that.
Hey, are you here, Jeff?
Caroline, following up on Gabe's question, you said that the follow-up strike was lawful. What law is it that allows no survivors?
The strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans in vital United States interests. The strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
On this pardon for the Honduran president, does it at all undercut the administration's messaging while you have these congressional Republicans defending the strikes on the narco-terrorists and then a pardon for a convicted drug trafficker? Does that make it more difficult for your members to defend your administration's
She
policy?
just explained it to you.
I don't think so, Jackie. I think that President Trump has been quite clear in his defense of the United States homeland to stop these illegal narcotics from coming to our borders, whether that's by land or by sea. And he's also made it quite clear that he wants to correct the wrongs of the weaponized Justice Department under the previous administration. And Ouija, I'll call on you because I think we're wearing matching blazers today.
I was going to
Great
compliment
minds.
yours. Thank you, Caroline. So just to be clear, to clarify on Jackie and Gabe, did Admiral Bradley order that second strike because there were still survivors after the initial strike?
Again, as I read for you, Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law. He directed the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat of narco-terrorists to the United States was completely eliminated.
So was the initial order from Secretary Hegseth, everyone be killed, and did that come from President Trump?
I saw that quoted in a Washington Post story. I would reject that the Secretary of War ever said that. However, the president has made it quite clear that if narco-terrorists, again, are trafficking illegal drugs towards the United States, he has the authority to kill them. And that's what this administration is doing. Danny?
Follow up on the MRI, because President Trump yesterday said that he would release the results of his MRI. Is that happening right now?
It is happening right now. As part of, and this is a summary from the president's physician, and we will release it right now. I think my team has it teed up for all of you. I'll read it for you, and then you'll get it physically as well. As part of President Trump's comprehensive executive physical, advanced imaging was performed because men in his age group benefit from a thorough evaluation of cardiovascular and abdominal health. The purpose of this imaging is preventative, to identify any issues early, confirm overall health, and ensure the president maintains long-term vitality and function. President Trump's cardiovascular imaging was perfectly normal. No evidence of arterial narrowing impairing blood flow or abnormalities in the heart or major vessels. The heart chambers are normal in size, the vessel walls appear smooth and healthy, and there are no signs of inflammation or clotting. Overall, his cardiovascular system shows excellent health. His abdominal imaging is also perfectly normal. All major organs appear very healthy and well perfused. Everything evaluated is functioning within normal limits with no acute or chronic concerns. In summary, this level of detailed assessment is standard for an executive physical at President Trump's age and confirms that he remains in excellent overall health. Again, we will provide that to you. I think that's quite a bit of detail, and in the effort of transparency, the president promised it last night and we have delivered today. So there you go. Danny.
Just going back to Venezuela, can you confirm that President Trump is going to be hosting a meeting of his national security team in the Oval Office today on Venezuela? And what are they going to discuss? Are they hoping to reach a kind of final decision on that?
Out of the effort of transparency, I will confirm that the president will be meeting with his national security team on this subject and on many matters. He meets with his national security team quite often. He's the commander-in-chief. It's part of his responsibility to ensure that peace is ongoing throughout the world. I'm definitely not going to detail the specifics of a meeting between the president and his national security team that's taking place in the Oval Office, but I'm happy to confirm that meeting is taking place for you.
Tell us, is there still, what's the position on whether US troops on the ground is a possibility there? Is that, I know you've answered that before, but what's the current operative
in Venezuela? I think my previous answer stands. There's many options at the president's disposal that are on the table, and I'll let him speak on those. Ed.
The U.S. announced a trade framework deal with the United Kingdom on pharmaceuticals, where they will pay 25% more, and the savings theoretically will go back to American consumers. What guarantees are in that savings will in fact go back to the American consumer and not be sucked up by the company?
I'm going to be honest with you, Ed. I'll get you the answer to that question after the briefing.
The American Rescue Plan, so funded a number of universal income.
Kush will get you that answer, right, Kush? My trade guy over here.
The American Rescue Plan funded a number of universal basic income programs. Now Cook County, Illinois is extending that program into 2026 with $7.5 million of taxpayer money. What does the White House think about that?
I'll also get you an answer on that after the briefing. Ed.
Over to.
Go ahead. Sure. And then
in the interest of transparency, does the White House support releasing the Department of Defense's video of those September 2nd strikes on those military boats? And also, separate topic on presidential pardon power. Why did the president commute the sentence of David Gentile recently? He was a private equity executive. He served 12 days out of a 7-year sentence. Prosecutors said he defrauded $1.6 billion with thousands of victims, including veterans, farmers, teachers. Why was he pardoned?
To your first question, that's definitely not a decision for me to make. I would defer you to the Department of War. It's also probably a decision for the president himself to make. As for your second question with respect to that pardon, he issued a commutation for Mr. Gentile, who's the former CEO and co-founder of GBP Capital Holdings. Unlike similar companies, GBP paid regular annualized distributions to its investors. In 2015, GBP disclosed to investors the possibility of using investor capital to pay some of these distributions rather than funding them from current operations. Even though this was disclosed to investors, the Biden Department of Justice claimed it was a Ponzi scheme. This claim was profoundly undercut by the fact that GBP had explicitly told investors what would happen. At trial, the government was unable to tie any supposedly fraudulent representations to Mr. Gentile. In short, again, this is another example that has been brought to the president's attention of a weaponization of justice from the previous administration, and therefore he signed this commutation.
So say that these people were defrauded.
I just read you a very detailed summary of why the commutation was made. Sure. In the middle with the red tie.
Thank you, Caroline.
Okay, Andrew, go ahead, and then you.
In wake of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor
Go ahead
Greene's early resignation, reports last week indicated that other House Republicans might consider doing the same. Does the president have any concerns in light of reports about other House Republicans potentially leaving early, as well as the other announced retirements that we saw in the last couple of days?
Look, I think the president maintains very good relationships with the vast majority, maybe with the exception of one or two. I think many in this room know who I'm referring to.
Rand Paul and Thomas Massey.
Relationships with members of Capitol Hill within the Republican Party.
Paul and the masshole.
Clearly is the unequivocal leader of the Republican Party. I think it was a recent CNN poll that actually showed that more than 90% of Republicans continue to support President Trump as the leader. So he maintains very good relations,
and rising,
as does his entire team here at the White House. And of course, we have a very slim margin in the House, and the president wants that to continue. Andrew, go ahead. Sure.
First, on the Venezuela strike, you said that second strike was in full accordance with the law of armed conflict, but the Navy's own manual of law of war says that specifically firing on survivors from a wrecked vessel is an example of a war crime that's forbidden under U.S. law and the law of armed conflict.
Shady, is this guy just saying that he'd rather have the fentanyl come in and kill our children? Is that what he's basically saying?
Yeah, he's telling you that we're not going to be able to destroy America. We're not going to be able to get you addicted to drugs. We're not going to be able to get your children to die. We're not going to be able to get these doses of fentanyl in your food and drink or your recreational drugs if you keep blowing up the damn narco boats.
I know you can't do that. It's like he's on the side of the adversaries.
He's on the same side of the people that, they wanted all the Afghanistan people brought here, the same side that, that wants trans for everybody.
Wow. Back to the weird questions.
How was that second strike in following law of armed conflict and then second on immigration?
Again, Andrew, I would reiterate to you the strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict. And since somebody asked about Congress, and it's sort of related to Venezuela, I also want to add that Secretary Hegseth spoke with members of Congress who may have expressed some concerns over the weekend. And there have also been 13 bipartisan briefings to Congress on the Venezuelan strikes. There have been a number of document reviews for members of Congress to review the classified DOJ Office of Legal Counsel opinion and other related documents. 29 senators and 92 representatives have reviewed those documents, which is about 2/3 of those are Democrat members, and they have been made available to all 100 senators, all 435 members of the House, and to general counsels of the relevant committees on a bipartisan basis for their review.
So that guy saying it's a war crime needs to shut up, man. I mean, who would say that about their own country?
You know what wasn't a war crime?
What?
Sending tens of thousands of people into Iraq and blowing the place up for no reason.
Right. That wasn't a war crime.
No,
was it?
that was fine.
No,
You could do that
was
any
good.
day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. These people are insane.
Blow up a narco boat. Boy, oh boy, the war crime rack up quick.
Leaders also have the duty to preserve the integrity and character of our nation's national identity. Can you explain what you mean by our nation's national identity and integrity and character, and how would refugees, people coming from war-torn places who are seeking a safe haven in America, like many of our forebears in this room, not add to our nation's
His forebears in the room.
or national identity?
Okay, explain it to like he's 5, because he is. This guy is an idiot, Shady.
Your forebear in the room is the forebear in the room with you, sir.
Look at his little lizard tongue coming out.
The forebear, like many of our forebearers came here from war-torn nation. Your forebear, like forebear this.
Yeah.
Forebears.
I'll tell you what does not add to our nation's character and integrity is refugees who come here under the alleged plight of asylum and fleeing persecution, and then come to the United States to abuse our system and rip off American taxpayers. And as I pointed out, the New York Times, to their credit, it was about 6 months too late, but they did write about how Somali immigrants in Minnesota have been ripping off American taxpayers. In fact, 86 people have been charged in a rampant and widespread fraud scheme spanning multiple programs in Minnesota. Of those 86, 78 of those people are Somali, 91% of them charged. So far, 59 of those people have been convicted for their roles in fraud plots that have stolen $1 billion from taxpayers. In one scheme, and this is egregious, a nonprofit and its affiliates with these Somali migrants claimed to have fed tens of thousands of American children during the pandemic. They were reimbursed for those meals by taxpayers. However, federal prosecutors found that almost all of those meals were never even delivered to hungry children. In fact, those organizations' leaders spent the money on houses, luxury cars, and real estate in Turkey and Kenya. Another scheme involved hundreds of organizations who were reimbursed for services that were supposed to help people at risk of homelessness. Once again, those services were never provided. All of this has happened under Democrat leadership in a Democrat-run state, where these refugees, these migrants are coming to the United States. They are abusing our system. They are draining our resources that should be going to law-abiding, taxpayer-funded, tax-paying Americans. And this president is not going to put up with it anymore. Rachel.
Thank you, Caroline. Just to follow back up on the Washington Post reporting, so much of the concern from Democrats and Republicans is focused on the survivors. Why won't the administration either confirm or deny or reveal whether or not there were survivors after that initial first strike? And what imminent threat
Nobody is concerned of the drug-running survivors.
Clinging presumably to the wreckage of that boat.
What are you talking about?
As I said, I think you guys are sort of not listening fully to the statement I've provided. Admiral.
They're not listening at all because they need to control the narrative. Their narrative is dead. Nobody cares. I voted for this. I voted for the drugs off my streets, guys.
Let me tell you this. It's going to be very clear. It's going to be very easy to understand. If we blow up a drug boat because these people are bringing drugs to our country and somehow they jump out of the boat and survive, then I want them to go ahead and finish the job.
Yeah, it's like, that's
is
humanitarian.
that wrong? I mean, am I wrong there? Like, okay, so we blow up the drug boat and then let's go rescue the 2 drug lords and then let's bring them over here and let's set up drug importation operations in America. Oh, wait. That's what the Bush administration did.
Hey, Shady, thank you for not mentioning me. I appreciate it. Oh,
yeah, that's Clinton's operation. Oh my God, I'm so incensed right now.
Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was totally destroyed and the threat to the narco-terrorists to the United States was eliminated. And for any further questions about his thinking, I would defer you to the Department of War. I obviously wasn't in the room for these.
Just to follow up, Caroline, just on the administration's policy when it comes to survivors, was there a change in policy after this strike on September 2nd? The Washington Post is reporting that these 2 survivors were killed after a second strike, but then in October, 2 people were rescued.
and returned to Colombia and Ecuador. So was there a decision that was made to handle survivors differently after these strikes?
Yeah, saving the taxpayers' money. Oh, wait. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, you might have slipped on that one.
Look at her, so concerned about people that are poisoning your children, guys.
You would not show an ounce of concern if an illegal immigrant murdered your child today. That lady would not give two craps about it.
Wow.
I promise you. But she's really concerned about the illegal's life who's bringing drugs here. It's just really interesting that the media, we know the media and the editors to be propagandists for the CIA drug running, and then they're out here like consistently advocating and concerning for the CIA drug running more than anything.
It's crazy. It's
They're
almost
even
like
committing sedition over it.
It's like it's almost like they get paid. Oh, they probably do. The black market, guys, is the
like
biggest market in the world, okay?
It's almost like
and it affects everything, and they're mad, Shady.
Wow.
To my knowledge, no. Steve.
Confirmed that he spoke to the Venezuelan leader. Are you trying to negotiate his departure? Is there an asylum deal underway?
President, as you know, last night on Air Force One, he said, I don't want to comment on that, but I did speak to him in the effort of transparency. So there you go. You got your confirmation. I'll let him speak further if he wishes to on the details of that conversation that took place.
Steve Witkoff is headed to Moscow. How close are you to some sort of Ukraine agreement?
I think the administration feels very optimistic. Obviously, you've seen, Steve, that the president's entire team, including Special Envoy Witkoff and Secretary Rubio and the vice president and the president himself, Secretary Hegseth as well, have been working so hard on this effort, and they all really want to see this war come to an end. And so just yesterday, Sunday, I believe that was yesterday, they had very good talks with the Ukrainians in Florida, and now, of course, Special Envoy Witkoff is on his way to Russia. This is sort of the shuttle diplomacy that you've seen from this administration play out, where we speak equally with both sides. We've put points on paper. Those points have been very much refined, but as for the details, I will let the negotiators negotiate, but we do feel quite good, and we're hopeful that this war can finally come to an end. Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. I've got a question about Ukraine and then a clarification about immigration changes that are happening. On Ukraine, President Trump very briefly yesterday said that corruption issues there were not helpful to the peace process following the resignation on Friday of President Zelensky's top aide, Andrei Yermak. We were told from your podium in the prior administration that, quote, there is no indication that there's been any kind of widespread corruption involving U.S. resources in Ukraine. What is the Trump administration's view of corruption issues in the wake of Yermak's resignation? How is that impacting peace talks?
Well, look, I think the president has made it quite clear, as he said last night, corruption is never helpful. And he does not want to see American tax dollars taken advantage of, which is why he has stopped the endless checks that were being written by the previous administration to fund this war. The United States is selling weapons to NATO that are being sent to Ukraine. That's a very different thing than the American people writing blank checks to a war effort very far away. It does not degrade the administration's determination to see this war come to an end, but I think it exemplifies the president's desire to always put the American people and the American taxpayer first.
On immigration, you mentioned, or you emphasized that there would be a review of the Afghans who were resettled here under the previous administration.
Yes.
There's a lot of changes happening right now to asylum and to green card holders. What should the 2 million people with pending asylum claims, or the roughly 1 million people from the 18 other countries of concern, know about what's going on?
Leave. That's what they should do. They should leave. How about that, Shady?
That's a pretty good solution, yeah.
They're worried about illegal aliens, Shady.
All they do.
The review, what's the status of all these other people?
They're essentially paused for review, and the Department of Homeland Security is taking this very seriously, because we are not going to allow soldiers like we saw in American streets last week to be gunned down at the hands of these foreign nationals who had the privilege of coming to the United States of America. And unfortunately, this is not the only example of a dangerous Afghan who was let in by Joe Biden, who went on to harm the American people. There was an Afghan national who was let into the country under the Biden administration through Operation Allies Welcome, who shot and wounded 2 Fairfax, Virginia police officers during a routine traffic stop. He was killed by return fire after declaring, quote, I should have served with the explicitive Taliban. 2 Afghan nationals were given legal status by the Biden administration as well, who were arrested and prosecuted for plotting a terrorist attack in Oklahoma just before Election Day in 2024. We all remember that. They possessed hundreds of rounds of ammunition and had pledged their allegiance to ISIS. There was also an Afghan national who was on the terror watch list who was apprehended by Border Patrol in 2024, but then he was released into our country by the Biden administration. Again, let's just highlight the absurdity of that. Border Patrol apprehended a terrorist, and then the Biden administration, because of their lax policies, still allowed him to come into the United States of America. I think everyone in this room, whether you want to admit it or not, does not want that individual living alongside you in your American neighborhood. And that individual was later arrested again after being allowed to live in the U.S. at large for over a year. Another one, a criminal illegal alien from Afghanistan, was arrested by ICE in 2025, convicted of second-degree assault, was previously allowed to stay in the country by the Biden administration. I have several more examples here. I'm happy to provide them to anyone in this room. John.
Thank you, Caroline. First of all, happy Thanksgiving to
Thank you
and your young family. Hope
Thank
you
you.
enjoyed it. I have 2 questions unrelated. The first, back to Afghanistan. My son and I walked by the horrific shooting less than 1 hour before it happened. So for anybody that's here, this thing's real. You outlined all of these unvetted Afghans that were let in by Biden. We just had one the other day that was going to blow up a DHS building. Can you be specific on what the Trump administration is doing now to re-vet those that are here so that we don't get a repeat of what we had Wednesday night?
Sure. I can tell you 2 top-level things, and I would defer you to DHS for more of the specifics, as of course they are leading this effort, and I can assure you Secretary Noem is on the ball. I've spoken with her and her team, and they have an all-hands-on-deck effort to having resources go towards this. But we have paused all asylum adjudications, and then of course the special immigrant visas, which we know many Afghans utilize to come into the country under the Biden administration, have also now been paused. And I would just point out one more time that the Biden administration was responsible for the original sin that led to this tragic killing last week, the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. He was responsible for Operation Allies Welcome, which is something that this White House and the people behind this podium in the last administration fully and wholeheartedly embraced. And they assured the American people there would be no risk or no harm to them. And as I just laid out for you in those many examples, that unfortunately and tragically has not turned out to be the truth. Just ask the families of these 2 brave National Guardsmen, one who is no longer with us and one who continues to fight for his life. So I know the president is wholeheartedly focused on this effort, and I think unfortunately these events do remind us why it's so important that the president's mass deportation operation continues. With that, sure.
Follow up. The White House today launched a new fake news portal, which I found interesting. What is your objective with that, ultimately? And are you going to name the news networks? And are you also going to name some of the correspondents, some which may be here today?
Yes, we are. I'm glad you noticed. Much to the dismay of some of your colleagues in the room, John. And I think it goes to our original promise on day one to hold the media accountable, because unfortunately, and we deal with this all day, every day around here, there are so many fake stories that are unfortunately written that have inaccurate characterizations of meetings that took place, and it's all based on anonymous sourcing. And you know, the standard for journalism, unfortunately, has dropped to such a historic low in this country. And again, we deal with it every day, where you can have an anonymous source who has no idea what they're talking about, 0 credibility, call up a reporter in Washington and say, hey, I heard this, and then the next thing you know, it's on the front page of the New York Times. It's really incomprehensible. We appreciate the journalists, some of those who are in this room who do reach out for comment, who try to get things right, and there are some that remain. But overwhelmingly, the fake news that we see pumped out of this building on a day-to-day basis, it's honestly overwhelming to keep up with it all, and to constantly have to defend against these fake news and these attacks. And I will point out one fake news story over the weekend before I let you all go, from the New York Times that took about 1/3 of the president's daily calendar and his daily schedule and said that he's doing less than he did in his first term, or he might not be fit for the job. That is unequivocally false, and it's deeply unfortunate that the story was written by the same outlet and the same reporter who wrote this. Biden is doing 100% fine after tripping while boarding Air Force One. Oh, same outlet, same reporter who wrote that President Trump is not fit for the job. Are you kidding me? You all see him almost every single day. He is the most accessible president in history. He is taking meetings around the clock. Another one. Biden declared, quote, healthy and vigorous after his first presidential physical. I don't see headlines like that too often about this president. Again, same reporter, same outlet who wrote falsely over the weekend that President Trump is not fit for the job. I can assure you he absolutely is. You all see that with your own eyes on a daily basis, and the president's physician has now given you all 3 detailed reports on the state of the president's health. So with that, I will leave you all and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes. Wow. Shady Grove. Yep. She's the boss, man. I she's amazing. And Scottish Anon says, I wonder if she's ever won an argument with her husband. Or if he's ever won an argument.
I was going to say, yeah, you got that backwards.
Yeah, oops, the other way around. But yeah, so what a great press conference. A lot of, the fake news. They do have a portal. We can get into that later, maybe later this week. It's pretty good. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. There's one more thing that I want to just finish up, Shady, before we get out of here, because it's in the title. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. Basically, we just had... it was a bad kitty, I think, that actually found it, but she's blocked us for whatever Flynn reason. This is a bombshell, guys. This is Senator Slotkin, okay? October 29th, 2025, she was at the Brookings Institute and gave a speech. That is the blueprint for the November 18th, quote, "Don't give up the ship" mutiny video that dropped 3 weeks early. She screams authoritarian over Trump's homeland defense pivot, secret Caribbean strikes, domestic terrorists, lists targeting MAGA and feds training in U.S. cities. Ends with her exact video titled, "Don't Give Up the Ship." She calls for military to refuse Trump's orders. Her "No Troops in Our Streets" act. Vets to DM her "Hello Resistance Squad." States to protect elections. Panelists Robert Kagan, who is Victoria Nuland's neocon husband. This is the deep state panic plan to sink Trump's America First agenda. You got to read it. You got to share it. You got to fight back. But look at it right here, Shady Grove. And lastly, to everyone watching, don't give up the ship. Wow. And then the timing of the shooter, in Washington, D.C., too. This is all timed together, in my opinion. This is an operation, and Slotkin is ex-CIA.
We're going to dig further in on that, because this has got a lot of tentacles that permeate everywhere, that are all coordinated and coincidentally happening at the same time. It's very, very coincidental that this that you're seeing is happening at the same time that you're seeing the people claim MAGA is dead. The reality is InfoWars is dead. And the reality is the CIA and all of these people that you're seeing right here. No. It's not the people that are still out there. It's the people that have had their strings cut are the ones that are generating the fever pitch of volume. Okay. It's not the people that are still working for you. It's the people that no longer have access.
So again, the MG show is independently funded by you, our listeners, not foreign dark money, not any of these, ass hats. We don't get $7,000 a post. We get our funding from you, and we cannot thank you enough. Thank you guys so much. And Shady Grove, we're going to end it here.
Please help out. Please help out the cause if you believe in the effort, because this effort is obviously, now you can see clearly that it wasn't just a dime a dozen. There weren't just a dime a dozen amount of podcasters or people that were broadcasting out there that were supporting Donald Trump. There was a whole bunch of people that are controlled by blackmail operations that decided that whenever they got the order to go away from MAGA and start declaring, quote, America first, they're the first to jump ship. Interesting.
That's right. It's amazing. And all of these attacks on this show, Shady Grove, all of the attacks on this show, all for a conspiracy, all for a LARP, right, Shady Grove?
All for to teach you that we're telling you the truth.
You attack those that threaten you the most. God bless you all. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
They do not want you asking questions. no thinking for yourself. They need you living in fear and divided. All they care about is control. All this for a conspiracy. They've got crimes to hide, it would seem to me. If we just research, think logically, they'll lose their grip and we'll be free. When you're strong, you think for yourself. When you're strong, you're not told what you believe. When you're strong, you're not controlled. When you're strong, you are all this for a conspiracy. They're trying to hide their crimes, it would seem to me. If we just research, think logically, they'll lose their grip and we'll be free. Trust yourself and know you're not alone. There are good people right beside you, fighting for what's right. God bless you all. Where we go on, we go on. All this for a conspiracy. They're trying to hide their crimes, it would seem to me. If we just research, think logically, they'll lose their grip and we'll be free. They'll lose their grip and we'll be
The truth is right in front of you. God bless you all. www.mg.show. Boom.